I want you to picture this. It's cold. It's raining. You just got off of work. A long day of dealing with the outside world. You finally get home, you take your shower, warm up the takeout that you picked up a few hours ago, and you sit down and you turn on the perfect movie. Now, you never have to think about this movie, because when you're drunk, you watch this movie. When you smoke a little bit, you need to laugh, you watch this movie. If any of this pertains to you and your day-to-day, congratulations, you have a comfort movie. We are now friends. My name is Michael Clark. I am Milk. And let's talk about our favorite comfort movies. Now, before we actually get into our favorite comfort movies, we need to find a definition. And to that, it's pretty simple. Let's look to the internet. Okay, let's see what we got here. Comfort movie definition. Okay, boom. All right. Okay, look, boom. It's fairly simple. Look, a definition states that a comfort movie is the film or films that someone could compare to a blanket, a warm sweater that one likes to wear. Now, the idea of a comfort movie has been around forever. Even if the term hasn't really been widely recognized until the last decade, I've watched my mother sit down and watch the same movies for years. Same with my brother, same with my sister. From old spaghetti westerns to 90s hood classics to all-time great comedies. I feel like everyone has that one movie that feels like their favorite hoodie or favorite bowl of soup. I asked some friends and subscribers and Instagram followers what their favorite comfort movies were, and as expected, the answers were pretty mixed. Forever Maya on Instagram says Eve's Bayou or The Lion King. Ty X Osama on Instagram says Belly. Dav Got Game on Instagram says Matilda. Slow Beginnings Kai on Instagram says Step Up Series 1 through 3. That's the first time I've ever heard that shit. Journey says she doesn't have a favorite movie because she doesn't like movies, so we're just gonna skip her. Ricky said Aladdin, Mari said Friday, Riley said The Waterboy, Fonzie said Like Mike, and Lil Hiram said Forrest Gump and Another 48 Hours. It's so crazy to see all the different types of movies we have here. A supernatural thriller, a gritty 90s hood classic, a heartwarming fantasy, Forrest Gump, The Waterboy. We even got active praise for the Step Up series, and I've never seen anyone give it its props ever. So I'm glad it did. It's crazy to see all these different movies and different genres all be put in the same category, but I guess that's just the beauty of it all, isn't it? Completely different movies giving completely different people, most of them strangers, the exact same feeling. Now, another very super important aspect of what makes your comfort movie is who you watch it with and where you watch it. A lot of comfort movies being connected to a best friend, family member, or even a time and place. It's almost like an atmosphere. Like, for example, one of the most well-known comfort movies ever, 1998's The Parent Trap, starred by Lindsay Lohan. One of the most iconic scenes in that entire movie is the cabin poker scene. The nighttime camp atmosphere mixed in with the competitive aura that specific cabin radiated with, as the two unknowing twins took turns taking each other's Oreos or bags of chips and shit like that. But I'm not gonna lie, I've spent way too much time talking on this video without talking about myself. Now, taking in account how self-centered that may have just sounded, here are my favorite comfort movies. This movie dropped a year before my sister was born. I think if I remember correctly, I was recommended this movie by a girl I went to high school with. Now, what makes this a comfort movie of mine is the overall atmosphere of the film. Mostly shot in a record store, it captures the overall feeling of the mid to late 90s. I was born in 2001, so the closest I've ever been to a record store is a website or a music section of a Best Buy. But one of the best type of feelings you can get is nostalgia, especially for something that you've never experienced. Now, is the movie perfect? Not at all. The overall pace of the movie is fast as hell, and the main conflict seems to be resolved in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the 1 hour 30-minute runtime. But in that time, there's a lot of charm, laughs, and heartfelt moments shared between the 16s, their boss, and the little shit named Warren.
Stop calling me Warren! My name is Warren!
It's funny that I find myself talking about this movie in a comforting tone. The subject matter that this 2001 psychological thriller dives headfirst into is anything but time travel, destiny, death, destiny within death. It's all our destinies to die. Like, this movie starts off dark and remains that way throughout its entire runtime. But I don't know. Something about the gritty cinematography, the dark blue tint that eclipsed the whole movie, the amazing soundtrack, and the fact that a couple favorites of mine look young as hell. Holy shit. Ashley Tisdale, Seth Rogen, is that Spencer?
This is the beginning of the song.
I hear voices, and voices, the tremor of calm, the feminine of this.
Now, this movie is fucking amazing. I think that this is the first movie I've ever watched that I sat down and said, yeah, this is my favorite movie. A romantic comedy action video game adaptation really has had me in a chokehold for the past decade and change. Mainly due to the writing, the over-the-top anime-like acting, the genius decision to edit the movie like an old-school arcade game, with the constant extra lives, game overs, and homages to Street Fighter and Dance Dance Revolution. This movie also has, in my humble opinion, the greatest soundtrack in movie history. Brie Larson's Black Sheep will forever be the best version of that song. You Can Fight Me. We also have a pretty stacked cast in this movie. The before mentioned Brie Larson, Michael Cera, still riding the high off his Nick and Nora Ultimate Playlist fame. Kieran Culkin, a few years apart from being one of the best TV actors on the planet. Aubrey Plaza, Captain America, Allison Peel, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. This cast was fucking wicked. Like I said, the movie is amazing. I could make an entire video about it alone because, like I said, it's my favorite movie. Well, my second favorite. Because
Get closer, oh, get closer. I'm burning now.
again, this is only in my humble, know nothing ass opinion. Rush Hour 2 is the greatest comedy of all time. We all have that one movie that we can quote word for word, bar for bar. I wanted to talk about Rush Hour 2 last because of how widely loved it is. It seems like everyone can agree that the second installment of this iconic buddy cop series is the best. They don't spend a lot of screen time trying to make the same jokes from the first movie in the second one, but when they do, they hit hard. This movie is pure nostalgia, full of hilarious lines that you can spend minutes on end laughing at as hard as you can. You know, back when racism was actually funny and shit was all fun and games and shit like that. The scene between Lee Carter and Kung Fu Kenny is so amazing, like very reminiscent of a minor boss fight in a video game. You know, you bust in, you beat the boss, learn a new move, and move forward with valuable information on the rest of the game. I also want to highlight the villains of this movie. Like, of course, we can talk all the time about how funny this shit is, but the villains of the second movie, they're dangerous. Like, seriously, like, Hu Lee might be the greatest villain, henchman, sidekick, and whatever in movie history. With how goofy the series is as a whole, I feel like how good the villains are and how good the villains' backstories are left out very often, especially the third one. That shit is like some Yakuza type shit. That third villain is fucking amazing too. But what else can I say? I mean, the art of the comfort movie is kind of a mystery. I can't tell you why your brain is so hung up on Twilight, just like you can't tell me why my brain is so hung up on As Above, So Below, or SpongeBob, or something crazy like that. Like, it's different genres, bro. Like movies that wouldn't even been put in the same theaters as each other. All-time blockbusters, cult classics that bombed in the box office. They all can be comfort movies. And I guess the feelings we get from watching our favorite comfort movies is the mystery of the comfort movie in itself. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell that meant. I just needed a way to end the video.